For this assignment, you're going to be taking a couple of clips that I've given you that don't have any sound, and you're going to be putting in your own sound effects. First one's a little bit easier because you can just use whatever sound effects you can find around. But the second one is a little trickier because you need to record your own sound effects. I wanted to give you an example, go through a few of the different methods you can use. You don't have to do it the way I do, but I think it's a helpful place to start. So one of the first things you're going to need to do is just pick a clip. I've given you some to look at. You can use those if you have your own that you want to try. Come talk to me about it. For this example, I chose to just use a bit. It's from old video game MechWarrior 3. It's the little intro movie that plays when you first start up the game. It has a pretty good mix of just different fun sound effects, robots, lasers, explosions, and it's something that I figured no one in here would have ever seen before. Once you find your clip, just go ahead and listen to it. I think it's better to listen to it with the sound off. That way you are sort of imagining your own sound effects and what you think things should sound like instead of just copying whatever's already in there. Just make a list. You don't have to get every single thing, but get an idea of at least the beginning of the sounds you're looking for. So I said I've got lots of robot moving sounds, big footsteps, lots of explosions, like a laser sound. Gonna need some missiles launching, jump jets when the mechs are jumping around. Gonna have different computer noises when we see the inside of the cockpit, and that one of the guy getting stepped on. It's not every single sound effect that I need to make for this, but it's a good place for me to start. Once you've figured out what sounds you need, you're just gonna have to look around and just see what other things you have around you that sound kind of similar. I'm going to go through a few of the examples of different sounds that I used and how I made them. A couple things to go through first. You're going to need a quiet place. Try to find somewhere that doesn't have a whole lot of stuff. You don't really notice until you start trying to record sound just how much noise seems to be around us all the time. So if you're recording at the school, you'll have access to one of our digital sound recorders. It's a nice handy little device. It's got really nice microphones on it. It has a couple of settings for doing things like filtering out certain frequencies or auto adjusting the sensitivity of the microphone. So if you're around the school, that's the thing that you're going to be using. On the other hand, if you are just out and about and you think you hear a sound or have an idea for something that's going to work with your video, you may have to just record with whatever you have, probably just going to be your phone. In that case, sometimes the sound isn't always going to be perfect. So let's take a look at what you can do. So in this clip, you can probably hear a little bit of background noise. I'm recording a little bit too close to my furnace. It just kicked in. And it means that any sound effects I try to do right now, you're going to get a little bit of extra sound in the background. So the easiest way to handle this is just to go up to Effects. You're going to click on Noise Reduction Restoration and go down to Denoise. This other window will pop up. Just to go with the default, depending on the sound you may have to play with it a little bit, but usually it's fine. And when we listen to it again, it should sound a little bit better. So in this clip, you can probably hear a little bit of background noise. I'm recording a little bit too close to my furnace. It just kicked in. And it means that any sound effects I try to do right now, you're going to get a little bit of extra sound in the background. Within Premiere Pro, you also have a similar option. It's just under the Effects tab. If you go down to Audio Effects, Noise Reduction Restoration, Denoise is also in there. There's a few others for dehummer and de-reverb and de-click remover, depending on the exact noise you're trying to get rid of. The one in Premiere is, I think, not really quite as good as the one in Audition, but for our purposes, there's not a huge difference. So let's take a look at how I made a few of the noises that I used in mine. I'll link the entire video so you can watch the whole thing, but I'm just going to go through a few of them. First up, the mech noises. Every time one of the mechs move, it makes that classic, that noise. This one's super simple. I used an electric drill, which was a nice one because I could run it at different speeds, try different things. And I didn't really have to change very much of these. I basically just used the raw sounds from the drill. Missiles were a little tricky. I had a lot of trouble getting the noise of them just popping out of the tube. I had a sound in my head that I wanted, and nothing I was finding was quite right. In the end, I just went with the sound of a can opening. It actually made a sound pretty similar to what I was looking for. All I had to do was just slow it down a little bit, step down the pitch to make it sound bigger, and it actually comes out like a pretty good noise for that. The sounds you hear of anything that sounds like a whooshing noise, either the jets when the mechs are jumping or the sound of the missiles in flight, is mostly a vacuum cleaner. Inside with the vacuum cleaner, you're also hearing the sound of this little spinning toy that my daughter has. Again, I'm taking that sound, I'm mixing it around a little bit in Audition to try to make it sound not like a vacuum cleaner. Just play around with some of the different effects until you find something that you like. In this scene, when the mech is stomping by and it's rattling and shaking this building apart, what I ended up going with was this crinkle toy. It's something for babies that they can just kind of hang on to, and they can crunch it up and it makes a little crackly sound. And I didn't really have to change it very much. It honestly just kind of sounds like that. And when you put it in that video, it really does work for the sound of like bits of wooden stuff falling apart. Any of the beeping and the electronic computer noises are either buttons from my microwave or buttons from my exercise bike. They both make a bunch of beeping noises, and again, I put them through a few things to kind of change how they sound, but they're basically just beeps. The laser sound effect, or if you want to get really technical, the particle projection cannon sound effect, was the one that gave me the most trouble. To be honest, I'm not super happy with this one. I do think it sounds a little weird. But what I did for this, I kind of tried a lot of things. Nothing sounded right. So I just kind of looked up what had people done in the past. And I found out that for Star Wars, a lot of the blaster noises they made by just taking like a metal cable, stretching it tight, and kind of just whacking that. I didn't have a metal cable, so I took a big old exercise ball and I bounced it, I hit it, and again I took different chunks of those sounds, layered them over each other, and then I honestly just put in every effect I could find, and in the end it's, I kind of threw a lot of stuff at the wall and just saw what stuck for this one. You've got the exercise ball in there, I think you've got a couple of the other ones, that crackle toy sound effect is in there. I do like that little charge up it does. To do that, I just took my main sound and I just pitched it upward as it went. So it kind of starts off low and rises as you can see the gun warming up. It does that nice The guy getting stepped on was a unique challenge. Again, this was another one where I kind of tried a few things and nothing really sounded right. And what I ended up using was just these little bath toys. They're these little balls. They are supposed to have the squeaker in them. I had one that the squeaker had popped out, and when you squeezed it and it was kind of full of water, it just sort of made a gross swishing noise. So took those, I just recorded about a minute of squishy water squirty noises, took 3 or 4 of them, kind of stuck them all in on top of each other at the same time, and that's the guy getting stepped on. There's a few other sounds in there. There's the sound of the footsteps, there's some explosions. Most of them are just me like banging on the side of like a filing cabinet. These are the most interesting ones. I hope this has been helpful. If you have any questions, just pop over to my desk and come talk to me. Give me a wave, put your hand up. Yeah, but really just have fun with it.